What's going on, Falcons fans? Logan here. Welcome back to Rise Up Rundown. And if you're new here, welcome. So, you know the drill. It is time for another Mailbag Questions video. And for this Mailbag Questions video, it's just like every other one. These are the questions that I was able to see and read off and answer. And if there was any question that I missed, I do apologize. But these should be all of the questions that I have received. And we're just going to go over all of them one by one. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. Dak Dargani asks, what needs do you think the Falcons still have after the signings of Mike Hughes, Mac Hollins, and the return of Eddie Goldman? Would you support signing DeAndre Hopkins or Calais Campbell? What needs do they have now that those signings are there? I do still think pass rush and corner is still a need. Yes, they did upgrade it, but they didn't fix it, I guess, you know, they made it better than it was, but it's not necessarily fixed. We do still need to upgrade the pass rush. And you know, the Mike Hughes signing is good, but I still think we can do a little better. I do still think that drafting or signing a corner could still help us out. Wide receiver, we could maybe use another wide receiver. You know, Drake London and Alameda Zaccheaus are good, but I think the Falcons could probably use another impact at wide receiver. Would getting DeAndre Hopkins help? Yeah, and honestly, I didn't even think the Falcons were going to be in the mix for that, but they are, and if we pull that off, I'm definitely not complaining. Are they going to pull it off? Probably not. The Falcons don't really have a lot to offer for the Cardinals, but I don't know. You know, it would help us. As far as Calais Campbell goes, I'm a little lower on that signing if it happens. You know, Calais Campbell I was a huge fan of growing up, and he in his prime was very fun to watch. The problem is he's just not in his prime, and he has really not been the same for a little while now, and he is getting up there in age. Now, he would be a great locker room guy, and I think, you know, he can still play for one more year. I would not sign him to more than a 1-year deal, but I would be a little lower on a Calais Campbell signing, as bad as that sounds, only because I don't think he's the same guy he once was. But if we sign him, I wouldn't do more than 1 year. Dre the Boxer asks, if you don't want to do predictions, I have a lighter question. Even though we don't know the schedule yet, which Atlanta game would you most want to see live this year? Could be facing us, facing Sean Payton in orange, us versus your brothers, Dolphins, Aaron and the Jets, any matchup. So, I think the Falcons and the Colts play in Atlanta, unless, magically they suddenly say that we're going to have an international game. But the Falcons should be playing the Colts in Atlanta, and I have a Colts family I have a Colts fan in my family. And we've been talking about going to that game, but we haven't necessarily confirmed it'll happen, but we're thinking about it. But if it's not that game, I don't think they play the Dolphins. We would probably see that game if it does happen. But any other game, I mean, the only other game I can think about is I want to see the Falcons versus Saints. I've seen the Falcons versus Buccaneers play. I've seen the Falcons versus Panthers. But I've never seen the Falcons versus Saints. And those games are always very close and tight. And I would love to see that game. Kale Lou asks, do you think the Falcons should vault back to select a receiver? Or just stay at 8 and get a pass rusher? Oh, easy. I would stay put and just get a pass rusher. Receiver, to me, should not be something we go for in the first round. Is that such an Arthur Smith move to do in the first round? Yes. But I think, thankfully, we're not going to do that. The only offensive weapon I can see us getting in the first round, at least at 8, is Bijan Robinson. But I'm not on board with that. Yes, he would help the team. I just don't agree with it. And I think you have to go pass rusher. And even if you can't go pass rusher, I would go corner. But yes, I would definitely go pass rush at 8. AE Drip asks, what do you think we need to do before we can be in playoff contention? Well, we got one step, is bring in some big players. So at least that's done. Jesse Bates is on the team now. And then David Onyemata's on the team. Jonnu Smith, which, by the way, I just now found out that he's from well, he played high school football in Ocala, Florida, which is only like an hour away from where I'm at. So I have a bigger reason to root for him. It's because he just played where I live. And then I'm not too worried about the draft. Terry Fontenot has been pretty good at drafting players, so probably not going to have to worry about the draft. He'll probably get in some good players. So at least we got step one done, is get in some big impactful players. Now, are we done building the roster? Oh no, we are so far from being done, but we have a lot of, we made a lot of movements. But what else do we need to do? Obviously develop Desmond Ridder. You can't really go anywhere if you have bad quarterback play. And even if you go somewhere, you're probably not going to go too far. You can maybe make playoffs, but if you think you can win the Super Bowl with bad quarterback play, that's like a 1 in a million thing to happen. You have to develop your quarterback, see what you got in him. So that is step 2, develop Ridder. And then 3, I think I would develop I would develop a more consistent play from the Falcons, because the Falcons got discipline. They're feisty and resilient under Arthur Smith, so we don't really have to worry about chemistry and resilience. But what we do need to fix is just consistency, because it's always like with Arthur Smith, like you win one week and then you lose the other, then you win and then you lose, and then you drop another loss and then you win and then you lose. Like, we have to stop that. So we got step 1 in bringing in some bigger players. We're not done yet, but we're making strides. Step 2 is get Desmond Ridder, produced and get him more experience in the NFL. He's got to get better. And then 3, we just got to get more consistent, because we can't keep winning, losing, winning, losing, 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 win, lose, win, win, lose. Like, it's just no way. It's not going to happen that way. So those are at least the first few steps as to be a playoff contender. Now, Super Bowl is a much different story, but we're not really focused on a Super Bowl just yet. We're going to focus on playoffs. Dre the Boxer asked, if the season started today, no draft, where do we finish among our division in offensive, defensive rankings? So without the draft, where do we finish? Offensively, I guess I'll put us in, I don't know. I'll put us top 16, 15. And that's only because we just don't know what we got in Desmond Ridder. But if he does well, I'm not expecting anything huge from Desmond Ridder, but man, he's got a lot of help. He's got Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London, and some really good running backs to work with, and a pretty good O-line. Now, granted, the O-line is much better in run blocking than they are pass blocking, but they're still pretty good. So we just got to develop Desmond Ridder really well, and then run game is what really helps boost this offense to much higher heights. But the passing game, we probably could get this, it's got to be a lot better than it is, but at least we brought in some players. And then, of course, I believe in Arthur Smith. So, I don't know, somewhere around there. I guess at best, at overall best, we just totally exceed expectations. Top, 12, maybe. Somewhere around there. Top 10, maybe. And then at worst, a top 17 offense. I think it's, somewhere in the middle for right now, but that's also because we didn't draft anyone yet. And then defensively, I'm still not going to rank them any higher than 20, so I guess at best top 20, but low, at the lowest of lows, top 27. But where do I think we're realistically going to land? I'll put top 22, because I still think this Falcons defense needs a lot of help. Yes, we brought in Jesse Bates and David Onyemata. That's going to help, but we're not there yet. We need a lot more players than that. So and we also have a new defensive coordinator. Isn't he a first year defensive coordinator? I don't know. He was an assistant defensive coordinator, or he was a co-defensive coordinator, but I don't know if he's been a full-on defensive coordinator. So he's got to get some experience. And then where do we rank among our division? I would say like at least second or third, right? I don't think we're going to get last. But, second or third. The Panthers have been making some strides. But the Bucks, like, I'm not totally sleeping on them yet. Like, they do still have some talent. But they are definitely going to decline without Tom Brady. And then the Saints, I don't know. They just like to trade away players. So I'll say second or third. Terry Turner asks, what are your thoughts on Eddie Goldman returning? #RiseUp. So that's kind of a funny situation. Like, at first I was mad because I was like, oh, really? Now you come in? Like, he saw all the moves the Falcons were making and now he wants to play. But then I paused and I was like, well, listen, maybe there was something personal that got in the way. So I'm not going to guess why he came back. But as far as like, what he's going to impact or, how much he's going to impact the team. So I'm not expecting anything crazy from him. I actually forgot to mention that, getting in players like Jesse Bates and David Onyemata. I forgot to mention that getting Eddie Goldman should help this defense boost, but how much? Because, he took a year off and he's getting up there in age, but he's also under Ryan Nielsen, who develops pass rushers. He's beyond some pretty good ones, like Grady Jarrett, Lorenzo Carter, and then David Onyemata, and hopefully he can develop Arnold Ebiketie. So, I think our pass rush is getting better. I'm not sold that it's like great yet, but if you tell me that we're going to have a good pass rush, I can believe that. But a great one, we have to upgrade it a little more. But Eddie Goldman should be a pretty nice addition. I'm not expecting anything crazy, but just a good season from Eddie Goldman. RC Plane Builder 2 asks a lot of questions here, so I'll try and answer all of these one by one. How many sacks will the Falcons have in 2023? I don't know. Just a flat out guess is like, 8 or 10, because our pass rush still isn't all that good. It's better. I do like Eddie Goldman coming back, Lorenzo Carter coming back, David Onyemata, but it's not like, bringing in those big players is like going to make our pass rush come from like terrible to elite. It's just going to be better than it was. Maybe I'm being too harsh with the amount of sacks I'm predicting, but it's the Falcons pass rush at the end of the day. I think I need to see it to believe it before I predict that we're going to get a lot of sacks. But for now, I'll say like 10 or so, somewhere around there. Which running back should the Falcons get to support Tyler Algier? The best one to get admittedly is Bijan Robinson. I don't know. I'm not on board with getting a running back at 8. So if it's not him, I don't know. I can't really think of another running back. I guess my answer would be Bijan Robinson, but I just hope that we don't get him because I already feel great about the running backs that we got. And yeah, I do want Tyler Algier to get a little more, tutoring from these veteran running backs because as great as he was last year, he does still need a little bit of help. He's still young. But I do still think he'll have a fine year with or without a tutor. But I know Bijan Robinson wouldn't be the best tutor because he's also a rookie. But anyway, yeah, I guess Bijan Robinson. But I also hope it doesn't happen. Are we a severely underrated dark horse playoff contender? Yes, I think so. Bringing in big players like David Onyemata, Jesse Bates is obviously just one big addition. And then I'm assuming we're going to draft very well. So no worries there. And then, I think Arthur Smith brings in discipline and resiliency with this team. The division is also not that strong. So it's like a pretty strong chance we could win this division anyway. Now, are we going to win a playoff game? I don't know about that. But as long as we make playoffs, I've always said that was the goal entering 2023. was, okay, we're in year 3 of Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot. It's time to make playoffs. And it looks like they know that. So at least making the playoffs, I think, is enough to secure these guys' jobs. And I think it is possible considering the division we're in, the moves we've made, and the resiliency and the culture that we got. Will we have one season, at least just one season, where we don't, Atlanta Falcons blowing leads, comebacks, or costly fourth quarter mistakes? I would think so. Nothing lasts forever. People always think it's like only good things don't last forever, but I think only bad things can also not last forever. Right? At some point this is gonna end. Will it end in 2023? Hopefully, but, probably not. But surely we're not too far away from Atlanta Falconing the games. Hopefully, right? We're building a pretty good team. Hopefully at some point it'll go away. But I guess my answer is yes. I just don't know when, but hopefully it's not soon. But I thank you all for the questions. Those were some great questions, and I'm thankful that we're continuing these mailbag questions. Hope you all stay safe and have an amazing rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys with a video this Tuesday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern. Love and appreciate you all for the support, and as always, rise up.